A personal highlight was a working trip this past spring to the Middle East, to Israel. Unfortunately, they're at each other's necks over there again in Bethlehem, of all places, where the holiday we just celebrated started. Not far from there, we met a young Houston man trying in his quiet way to ease the tensions which occasionally erupt in violence, the kind of violence we've been seeing lately. Let's meet him again. In a sorely troubled region of the world where hatred between Arab and Jew erupts with distressing regularity into violence and human agony, a young Houston man chips away at a thick and ancient wall of hostility. Jonathan Lack, Memorial High School class of '80, college degree in Middle Eastern Studies.
Fit in?
Oh, sure, no problem. Tucking an oversized reporter and a ton of idealism into his tiny, rolling, rusting, used car lot reject for a brief lesson in making a difference. The place is Tira, a 320-year-old Arab village whose fighters gave the Israelis all they could handle and more during the 1948 war. Now it's 16,000 people, more or less accepting the reality that they are of Israel, if not Israelis.
These Arabs here are citizens of the state of Israel.
But in terms of emotional allegiance, I guess.
Emotional allegiance, the majority of them will say they are part of the Palestinian people, but they are citizens of Israel. They choose to remain in Israel even if there's a Palestinian state created one day.
The program is called Interns for Peace, a non-political effort, if anything Middle Eastern is non-political, an effort at understanding, to show young Jews that all Arabs don't steal or bomb school buses, to show young Arabs that all Jews are not homeland plundering gunmen waving American-supplied weapons. Here's one way, an intentionally non-competitive schoolyard game requiring Jewish and Arab fifth graders to interact, perhaps for the first time in their young lives. Here, the group defends the individual, and each child profits from cooperating with the next child. No opportunity to check his ethnic background in this game. Even in play, traditions die hard. These children automatically segregate themselves not by race, but by sex. Boys in one game, girls in another, the Middle Eastern way. American corporations and the American Jewish community support Interns for Peace. The young volunteers, such as Jonathan Lack and Palestinian-Israeli Munzer Humdan, sign on for 2 years. Not for the money, certainly. Their pay is a subsistence level, $300 a month. These children, Arabs and Jews, have heard angry words of racial hatred about each other since birth. Here, for an hour or so, they learn about goodwill, about simply getting along. In the Middle East, where violence between Jews and Arabs is a way of life, a young Tira village boy proudly displays his understanding of one of the few English words he knows, jumping. And in turn, he is praised by his classmates, Arabs and Jews. The Interns for Peace group argues that these children must learn, will learn to live together, or in this tiny country, they will die together. Perhaps this is how it starts. What does it matter among you and your friends if you're Arab or Jewish or whatever? What difference does it make?
Nothing.